Hello, everyone. So, we will first have some understanding about the SQL Server, and then we will proceed with the SSIS. So, let's have some basic understanding about the SQL Server tutorial. Now, we will understand the concepts like what is a database. As all of you know, a database is a collection of organized data which can be easily accessible, it can be easily managed, and it can be easily updated. Every company today in the world have a good database because they have data. The data can be about their products, their staff, their services, their timings, and about their customers, about their locations, about their suppliers. So the data can be about anything, including the employees. So a database can be used to store and to manage the data. So the question here is, why do we need the database? Because we also have Excel. So why can't we use Excel to store the data? Because everyone thinks about this question. If they know database and Excel, why we have to use database and not Excel? So the people having experience with database, they know the importance of database, having a database instead of just using Excel. The thing is, if we have few number of records to store, then we can use Excel and it will work quite well with the records. We can add the details about the employees of the organization in the Excel sheet, and we can easily add the new details. We can modify the details of the existing employees, and we can also delete the details of the employees. We can do these operations in Excel also. And we can also search for the required employees by the name, by the age, by the mobile number, by the date of birth, by the email ID, and all these work properly in the Excel. Only if the number of records are small, records are less. But when the organization grows and it has multiple branches in multiple cities, it can become hard to maintain the details of all the employees in the Excel sheet, because when we are accessing the sheet, another tab from another city can want to modify the record. And also, if you have multiple employees with the same name, but with a different designation or with different degrees, then it can become hard to search for those people or the employees using the same name, as it can return multiple results and it will be difficult in Excel to provide the different criteria like first name, last name, the middle name, the designation, and the degree. And as soon as the size of the sheet grows, then it may take a lot of time to open the file and modify and save the file back. And this is just a simple example of the employee's details. Now, think of the scenario where we have to store the details of all people who lives in a country like India. So the number of records can be really high, more than 100 billion, more than 100 crore. Think of maintaining those records in the Excel file. It is not possible because it will take a very, very long time to open such a huge file. Thus, we need a system where we can efficiently store the data and manage the data. And thus, we need database. So here database comes into the picture. Now, since we have understood database, now let's see what is SQL. So SQL is a structured query language which is used to communicate with the database. And according to the American National Institute, it is a standard language for relational database management systems. So using the SQL, we can do a lot of operations like add, modify, delete, view the records in the database. Some popular database management systems which use SQL are Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL, and also the Microsoft Access. So SQL Server and Microsoft Access, these are the products of the Microsoft. While MySQL and PostgreSQL, these are the open source products, and Oracle is a controlled company. So these are some popular databases used in the market which use SQL. Now, our next question is the main one. What is Microsoft SQL Server? So Microsoft SQL Server is a RDBMS developed by Microsoft for storing and managing the data. The relational database management system is a database management system that is based on a relational model. So the data in the database will be stored in the objects which are called as tables. And one table can have relation with another table using the primary and the foreign key concept. So we will cover these things in our upcoming videos. So the tables are related, and that is why it is called as related database management system. Currently, SQL Server is one of the most widely used RDBMS. The next topic is what are the components of Microsoft SQL Server. So the first component is the SQL Server itself, which is responsible for starting, stopping the SQL Server instance services on a machine. For example, if you make some configuration changes to the SQL Server, then they will be applicable only when you restart the SQL Server services. You can find the option to restart the SQL Server services either on the services window of the operating system, which we can open by typing the services dot. We can open it by msc dot services.msc in the run window, or we can restart the SQL services directly from the SQL Server Management Studio. So this we will see. So the first component is the SQL Server itself. The second component is the database engine. This component is responsible for storage, security, and transaction processing. When you install Microsoft SQL Server, the installation wizard shows multiple components to install along with it. And database engine is one of the fundamental component to install. The third one is the SQL Server agent. This is responsible for automating and scheduling the tasks related to SQL Server. For example, there is a SQL script that takes backup of a database. And now if you want that script should be run every day, every time at 12 a.m. and it should also take the backup. So it should run at a particular time, and also take the database backup automatically. Then you can create a SQL agent job, which can execute the SQL script automatically according to the given schedule. So this can make the life easier for the developers and also for the database administrators. Now the fourth component is the SQL Server browser. It listens to the incoming request and connects them to the needed SQL services instances. Then we have SSAS. This is SQL Server Analysis Services. This is used for data analysis, and we can create cubes, and we can also do data mining using this component, that is SSAS. The next component is SSIS. This is SQL Server Integration Services. This is an ETL tool, that is extraction, transformation, and loading. We can extract raw data from any source, like a flat file, an Excel file, and then we can do some transformation like data cleaning, data conversion, or data manipulation. And then we can insert good data to the destination system. Destination system also can be like Microsoft SQL Server database. Now, the last component is SSRS. This is SQL Server Reporting Services. The SSRS is used to reporting purpose. We can create different types of textual and graphical reports using SSRS. And finally, what are the different licensing options for Microsoft SQL Server? There are different licensing options for Microsoft SQL Server. The first one is the Express one, which is a free edition. We can install it on any server for developers, for production servers, and we can use it freely. The second one is the Developer Edition, which is also free. This contains all the features which are not available in the Express edition. For example, SSIS. This is not available in the Express edition, but available in the Developer edition. So all the features of the SQL Server are available in the Enterprise edition. They're also available in the Developer edition, but the Developer edition is free only for the development purpose. So if you are a developer and if you want to learn the concepts like SQL Server, then you can install the Developer edition on your laptop and it will be free for you. But this should not be installed on the production server. We also have the Web edition. So this is the licensed version which we have to purchase. Then we have the standard version. We also have standard first core. Finally, we have enterprise license. Some features of the SQL Server are available in the web and some are available in the standard, but the enterprise edition contains all the features. But most of these features are available in the standard version. Finally, we will discuss about the different versions of the Microsoft SQL Server. So there are different versions of the Microsoft SQL Server, like we have SQL Server 2000, we have SQL Server 2005, we have 2008 R2, we have 2012, 2014, 2016, 2017. The current version of SQL Server is 2019. So in our upcoming videos, we will see how to use the SSMS, that is Server Management Studio, how to create a database, how to use SQL language for creating the database, write queries, tables, and insert the data. We will learn about the triggers, functions. We will cover all these topics from the SQL Server from the perspective of a developer.